Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Eminence Dr. Umair Mahmood Siddiqui, Head of Department of Islamic Learning, University of Karachi, Professor Dr. Shaita Tabassum, Dean, Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Professor Dr. M. Suhail, Professor, Department of Islamic History, my colleagues from Jamiyah Singapore, faculty members and scholars of University of Karachi, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, on behalf of my colleagues from Jamiyah Singapore, we would like to thank Dr. Umair Mahmood Siddiqui for kindly hosting us at this prestigious and esteemed University of Karachi. I remembered my father, who was the president of Jamiyah, visited this university in the 70s. So when he came back, he talked about it. So I'm happy that this is the first time I'm probably my colleagues also in Karachi or in Pakistan. And we have the first-hand look and visit of this university. And we are so happy and grateful for the opportunity to meet all of you here. And we truly appreciate that you are sparing your time to be with us here this morning. Now, our visit to Karachi is intended to gather more information on the founder of our organization, that is Jamiyah Singapore, the great His Eminence Maulana Shah Abdul Alim Siddiqui, and to make a tribute video of His Eminence. Unfortunately, the information that we have on His Eminence Maulana Shah Abdul Alim Siddiqui is quite limited for me to share here. And we are thankful that Dr. Umair for kindly assisting us to gather as much information as we can, and also for arranging to our meetings with His Eminence, grandchildren and scholars who have studied about His Eminence Maulana Abdul Alim Siddiqui. At least three key roles or impact that Maulana Abdul Alim Siddiqui has left us in Singapore. First, Maulana established the then called All Malaya Muslim Missionary Society in 1932. The organization name changed to Muslim Missionary Society Singapore, or commonly known as Jamiyah Singapore, when Singapore separated from Malaysia in 1965. So Singapore was part of Malaysia before that. Number two is the Inter-Religious Organization of Singapore that been set up by Maulana. In fact, the original name was the Inter-Religious Organization of Singapore and Johor Bahru. Johor Bahru is just the neighboring state of Singapore. Those days, we are one. But once Singapore got separated from Malaysia, the name changed to Inter-Religious Organization of Singapore. And this IRO, short form of Inter-Religious Organization, was formed in 1949. And the third significant contribution of Maulana Abdul Alim Siddiqui was the establishment of mosque under his name. This mosque is going to celebrate its 70th anniversary in the next 1 or 2 months' time in Singapore. Now, let me give a bit about information about the three significant establishments of Maulana in Singapore. First is on the Inter-Religious Organization in Singapore. It is still very active today. This organization constitutes of 10 main religious or religions as members of the organization, namely Islam, Buddhist, Taoist, Hindu, Christian, Jewish, Zoroastrian, Sikh, Jain, and Baha'i. The head of the IRO, that is Inter-Religious Organization, is rotated every year. And presently, The president of the IRO is a Sikh. His name is Mr. Gurmeet Singh. Much of the activities of the Inter-Religious Organization of Singapore, which are playing very important role, is for doing the interfaith work. That is to make sure that the relations between the faith and races in Singapore will always be in the peace and harmonious situation. And also they pray together whenever there are natural disasters, whether locally or internationally. On the mosque of Abdul Alim Siddiqui, it is located in a residential area in the south central of Singapore. It is a very popular mosque and has a long history of many Jama'ah who participate in the daily prayers and also other programs of the mosque. It's a very active mosque in terms of carrying out da'wah work in Singapore. As I mentioned just now, it is celebrating its 70th anniversary in a month time. Then the third one is on Muslim Missionary Society Singapore, is Jamiyah Singapore, where we come from. Even after 93 years of Jamiyah's establishment by His Eminence Maulana Abdul Alim Siddiqui, we still uphold the vision of His Eminence, that is focusing on da'wah work, community and humanitarian works, and interfaith relations. From its inception in 1932 to the end of 1969, Jamiyah Singapore is known as an organization, as a religious organization, meaning that it carries out programs, activities related to coincide with the Islamic calendar years and activities. But today, it is known as a hybrid organization. This transformation was started by a group known as Young Blood, led by Haji Abu Bakar Maidin in 1970. Haji Abu Bakar introduced wide variety of services needed by the community, and he led Jamiyah for 40 years, stepping down in 2010. As a da'wah organization, promoting Islam has always been the mainstream services of Jamiyah. We have structured Islamic programs and education for the young ones since 1970. And children from the age of 4 right up to adults participate in our religious programs. For example, children who attend government schools during the day, they will come to our center or centers for their religious education on the weekends and also on the weekdays in the evening for their Quran and religious studies. The adults attended courses like Tafsir Quran, the Tajweed, Arabic, and other Islamic studies program. Jamiyah also offer diploma, degree, postgraduate Islamic programs at our education center. And we collaborate with the Islamic universities in Malaysia and Indonesia for these degree programs and diploma. Our Da'wah department plays a key role in promoting Islam with many Islamic programs and services. It organizes events in conjunction with the Islamic calendars like Maulidur Rasul, Nuzul Quran, Muharram, and few others. The usual attendances at our events or this event range from like 500 to 15,000 people that attend for each of the event that we organize. I can still remember I was like 10 years old when my father, Haji Abu Bakar Maidin, took the helm of Jamiyah in 1970. And whenever we have lectures, Islamic lectures, we have like women putting their scarf over their shoulders in the 1970s. But Alhamdulillah, throughout the years, we are seeing more ladies and young ladies, women, children, or girls wearing hijab in Singapore. So it's not only the work of Jamiyah, but many other Muslim organizations for promoting Islamic values, and da'wah in Singapore. Jamiyah has also been organizing Singapore Muslim festivals for the last 5 years. The programs at the Muslim festivals include Islamic lectures, Islamic exhibiting of Islamic artifacts, and for the past 2 years, including this year that we're going to organize this event from 7 to 9 February. I would like to invite all of you to come to our exhibition. We are incorporating technologies for the visitors at the festival. That is, namely, we are having virtual reality and metaverse. Metaverse is where you wear a goggle and with a controller. And this year we're going to have a video on Al-Aqsa Mosque. So as if that you are entering the mosque, when you wear these goggles and the controller. So you can go to any part of the mosque of Al-Aqsa Mosque. So I myself have not had got the opportunity to go or visit Al-Aqsa Mosque. Inshallah, I will do so at least once, But several of my friends have gone there, even recently in December, in November. So it looks like the place is still open for foreigners to visit. I don't know about Pakistan, whether Pakistani national is allowed to go there. No, it's like Malaysia also. Malaysia also did not allow their citizens to go to Al-Aqsa Mosque. That is why we feel that the metaverse technology that we are bringing to the festival will give the opportunity for those who have not been there or no opportunity to go there to at least experience, like as if you are entering the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Inshallah, one day, Mr. Mahmood, my colleague here, maybe we can bring this technology over to this University of Karachi, and probably we can do a few days of exhibition here, inshallah. So the first time when we held the Singapore Muslim Festival, we had about 40,000 people attending this 3-day event. Alhamdulillah, for the past 2 years, 2023, we had like 70,000, and last year we had more than 100,000 that came during the 3-day exhibitions. So once again, I would like to invite all of you to come to Singapore and join us at if not this year, maybe coming years for this event, inshallah. Over the years also, Jamiyah Singapore, we have 7 educational centers around Singapore. For your information, Singapore is not a very huge country, probably maybe 5-10% of the size of Karachi. It's a very small country. Yeah. And the services that we provide for our education at our education centers starts from taking care of infant at the age of 2 months old, and also children up to 6 years old. This is mainly for those parents who go out and work, so they can send their children for us to take care of them. It's like the operating hours is like from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So at the end of the day, when the parents came back from work, they will just stop by and pick up their children 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. And we have 3 student care centers. These services are provided for after school care, whereby children at the age of 7 to 14 will drop by. Even when the parents go to work, they will drop by after school. They will stay with us like from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., where we take care of them, providing them with the tuition, academic coaching, and so on. In terms of our welfare program, we manage 3 welfare homes. The first one is the home for the aged. This is actually for destitutes, where they don't have any next of kin, no place to stay. So they were sent to our home institution for us to take care of them. Then the second one is the nursing home. This is actually for the frail, elderly, and whereby they need more intensive care and cannot be provided probably in their home by the family member or members. So they've been sent to our nursing home. And the third one is the halfway house. This is a place for the rehabilitation of the drug addicts. I'm not too sure about the drug addiction rate in Pakistan, but in Singapore, unfortunately, the percentage of addicts are the Muslims. So, like 50% of those in the prisons are the Muslim, and they are mainly drug addicts. So, this is part of our services trying to get them back to the society and try to leave their past behind and move forward. And Alhamdulillah, the success rate is quite good. About maybe 70% of those who have gone through these programs, they left their drug addiction behind. We are currently providing foods and even some non-food items to more than 5,000 poor and needy in Singapore through our food bank and 3 mini food banks. I'm not sure whether there is any food bank in Pakistan. Maybe later on you can share with me. Since 1970s, we have been providing free medical and legal services. And we have like 20 volunteer doctors and 20 volunteer lawyers who come like 3 times a week, to provide these services for free. So these clinics was formed in mid-1970s. And also we have dedicated counselors offering advices to clients on matters of marriage, assets, distribution, and other services. And for publicity, we have mass communication and studio departments. And my colleague, Mr. Jeffrey and Mr. Amirul, they are from our Marcom and also studio. And we set up our studio 2 years before COVID-19. And when COVID hit Singapore and many parts of the world, we were able to swiftly continue our program and services online because we already have the studio set up by then. Now, 3 years ago, we established a new department called Corporate Planning and Strategy Department, consisting of young and qualified people to help us chart the future progress of Jamiyah, with the target that when Jamiyah reaches its 100th years, this organization is already ready to fulfill the needs of the community at that time. Having relevant services and programs are keys to propel Jamiyah to greater heights. As of now, our annual expenditures of Jamiyah have exceeded $30 million Singapore every year. And 40% of the expenditures are provided by government through subsidies and grants. For example, for early childhood and for the welfare homes, the government do provide subsidies and grants. And for your kind information, all the programs and services of Jamiyah are open to all, regardless of race or religion. And Alhamdulillah, Jamiyah Singapore has been getting good support from both Muslim and non-Muslim in Singapore. Now, before I end my brief presentation, let me give you a bit information about Singapore. So I believe, how many of you have been to Singapore? 1, okay. 2, 3, 4, okay. I see quite a bit of hands. That's good. As I mentioned just now, Singapore was part of Malaysia until 1965. So you can imagine that all these years before that, Muslims are the majority. But one morning when we wake up, we become the minority after the separation. Because there are only about 15% of Muslims in Singapore at that time, and continues even until today. So the population in 1965 was probably near 2 million in Singapore. But today, the population have slightly exceeded 6 million. And Muslim population still remain at 15%. That is about 750,000 Muslim. And this constitute like 150% are from the Indian, even Pakistani origins. And majority are from the Malays, who are the original people of the country. And the rest are maybe from Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, and few other countries. Yeah. So majority of Singaporeans are Chinese. 75% are Chinese. And 10% are Indians. For the past maybe 15, 20 years, Singapore government has changed its policy whereby it increased its population by opening up the country for migration especially from China and from India. And Singapore has got a birth rate now that less than 1% or 1%. It's 0.97. It's not even, a couple is not even have one child now. So it used to be like 10 years ago, 1.6 something or 1.8. So that is why it's importing a lot of foreigners to make sure that, because we don't have natural resources, the only resources that we have is humans. In terms of the Muslim NGOs in Singapore, there are a few big ones, and there are about 30 smaller ones in Singapore. And we are happy to say that Jamiyah Singapore, founded by Maulana Abdul Alim Siddiqui, is the largest Muslim NGO in Singapore. In terms of the demographic profile of the Muslim in Singapore, majority of us working class people, and with few thousands in the small and medium-sized businesses. The average monthly household income for Muslim in Singapore is about 6,500 Singapore. That is about maybe 5,800 US dollars monthly. While for the Indian and Chinese, their average monthly household incomes are around 11,000 plus. So there's a bit of gap in terms of the household income. And in terms of education, the Muslim having degrees or postgraduate degrees qualification is around 10 to 12%. Compared to the other races like Indian and Chinese, they are about 35%. These are some of the basic information, but if you have any other information that you require, we'll be pleased to provide you after this. And finally, once again, I wish we wish to welcome all of you to visit Singapore and Jamiyah Singapore. Thank you for the opportunity to share some information about Jamiyah Singapore and about the good deeds that our founder, Maulana Abdul Alim Siddiqui, has left behind for us in Singapore. I had the opportunity to meet his son, that is Maulana Shah Noraini Alim Siddiqui, in Singapore in late 70s. So I drove him around in Singapore. And the second time when he visited Jamiyah, I was not in Singapore. I was studying in US. So I missed that opportunity to meet him. So, but at least I'm so happy. I can still remember his face till today because we were quite close when he was in Singapore the first time. So may Allah bless him and Maulana Abdul Alim Siddiqui and so on. Yeah? So thank you and wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.